Another Wednesday, another weekly Wednesday team prosperity meeting. This is a meeting that we go directly into things that you can take from this meeting, implement it immediately to start getting some better results in your business. This is a time period where normally, as we get into the spring and the summer months, business cycle usually slows down. However, coming out of the pandemic, we're not sure really what's happening. So no matter what time of the year it is, whether it's Christmas, whether it's July 4th, whether it's New Year's, you need to put the same type of effort and concentration into your business, because the continuous cycle of effort, time, energy, resources, etc., you're going to make sure that you smoothed out the busy parts during the slow parts, so you can get an even kind of run through in terms of business growth. So last week, you guys, we talked about, business flow, is an implemented and defined process by which your work can get done with both goals and rules of your business in mind. Think of business flow as a step-by-step process of identifying exactly what needs to happen for your business to get from point A to point B. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. What are the business keys to success? This week, we are talking about just getting better. And I think that if we implement this as far as a mindset for ourselves, our partners, or really our clients, just to make those progressive steps forward, just to get better, then everything that we look at in terms of what we need to do, what we need to avoid not doing, it gets a little bit more clear. You have clarity, and then it gets easier to build because you know where your skills are, where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, and how to shore up those deficiencies to get you in a place where your business is getting you to your goals, getting you to the endpoints that you desire. So getting better requires us to look at certain things. One of the things that we have to look at is you got to find people eager for success. And I'm not talking about just partners that you're inviting internally to help you build this business. I'm talking about the ability to be able to disqualify on the front side. When I hear certain stuff, Alana was working with a prospect the other day, and she said, hey, if we get to this point, you're financially free, you don't have to worry about this stuff, what are you doing? He says, I'll sleep more. That's a disqualification, guys. There's no motivating factor to get this guy to take the next action step, right? Somebody has to have goals. Somebody has to have dreams. Somebody has to have desires so that we can build an action plan to help them get there. If they have no goals, no desires, no motivation, it's pointless what you put in front of them because they don't have any reason to take that action step. So getting better means that we upgrade our network, we disqualify, and we work with the people that are hungry for something better, whether that be a partner or a client. Also, getting better means that we analyze our business and that we reach customers in more than just one way. So when you look at your business, if you're killing it online, you're doing well, but then when you go out in public, you're not talking about yourself, what you do, why you do, asking questions from other people. That would be the deficiency that you work on. If you have the opposite way and you're just, really well in person, networking events, even out at the grocery store, and you need to work on your online presence, well, you have to identify it. But one thing is certain. You can't have a one-lane track where you're just doing the same thing to reach your customers, because even like I said, told you guys time and time before, even if that's working well, if that lane gets cut off, it changes, whatever happens, and it dries up, falls through, whatever you want to say, then your whole entire business on that one leg, your stool falls over. You got to have many legs of the stool. So if one gets chopped off, you still got something that's going to, be there and be there in a performing manner. Also, to get better, you've got to implement some type of a time management system. Whatever's going to work for you. This is just an example, but in this example, think about like two bookends, the 20 and the 20. And then in the middle of those bookends is the 60. So in this example, 60% of your day in terms of for your business is direct business activity. These are income producing activities. Then on the bookends, the outside 20/20, you can do planning, you can do strategy, reflection, whatever it is that you need to do. But 6 out of every 10 of your minutes during your business day that you're working on your business needs to be directly involved with income producing activities, direct business activities that's going to move the needle forward. It's going to push your business forward in a way that's going to get income, revenue recognition. It's going to get the growth that you're looking for. Also, you got to, in order to get better, you got to understand what's going on in your business. You got to dig deep into your numbers. Some of you guys don't have any numbers. That's problematic in a number of different ways, because in order to grow, in order to scale, you have to make data-driven decisions. It can't just be blindly kind of throwing things out there to see what happens. You know, from a book of business perspective, you have to know your numbers in order to know, hey, you know, I have to do this on the front side, manufacture this to get this on the back side. But also, if you're building sales teams, if you're building virtual offices nationwide, then you have to understand that, hey, my ratios are X. If somebody comes in and tries to mimic what I'm doing and their ratios are far below mine, that's a problem. I need to help them as a manager, as a coach, as a mentor, get their ratios back up to average or expected number. However, if you don't even know what your ratios are, then how are you going to be able to manage, mentor, coach somebody else to get to a place where you don't even know where you're trying to get them? So if you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. Knowing your numbers allows you to make data-driven decisions instead of just emotional ones. The emotional decisions that we make are mostly always terrible decisions. You've got to create some type of a toolbox for your business. So what's in your toolbox? You know, those apps like the calendars and everything that you have in there, automation, whatever it is to make your business efficient, make it you know, easier on you going in, because organization or a lack of organization can be a make or break for your business. And we live in a time where technology helps us with these things. So adapt the technology, invite the technology into your life, and then really sit down. What do I want in my business toolbox? What's going to help me on a daily basis? What do I need in my toolbox? And then maybe as important, what do I not need in my toolbox? Not just a bunch of clutter, but things that are important to my business now and important to my business going forward. You also need to make strategic partnerships. And this doesn't mean internally inviting people into your business to help you build your business. I'm talking about when you're out there networking, when you're out there talking to people. If somebody has something, and a lot of you guys, this comes kind of from a fixed mindset. If we are online and somebody's got something they want to introduce, try to sell us, most people are like, no. You've got to open up your mindset for a growth mindset to understand this from two perspectives. Number one, you may go into there and that person may have something that can genuinely help your business grow, help your business scale, whatever it is. So you don't want to be cut off from that. You want to have an open mindset to go in and talk to people. And then secondarily, if you get into that conversation, you may be able to flip that conversation and create value, extract value from our side, because what we have, what we do, the problem, the solution, it's huge. So when you're out there speaking to people, just because somebody's doing something as an entrepreneur, just because somebody's trying to sell you something, doesn't mean that you should close that person off. So be open-minded, have a growth mindset, and understand conversations can benefit you in one or more different ways if you allow yourself to have those conversations and not be shut off. Build in the downtime. So what does this mean? Well, this means that as an entrepreneur with a business that you're trying to get to an endpoint that gives you time freedom, financial freedom, lifestyle freedom, those things that we're looking for, you have to always constantly be thinking about your business. You know, what is it that I'm going to do tomorrow? What can I implement today? All of these things, you know, get online during the weekend, watch videos on marketing, watch videos on sales, watch videos on management, read things, get better. The more you learn, the more you earn. It's not a 9-to-5 kind of deal. I'm always thinking about my business, how to make it better for myself, my partners, my clients. If you get in that mindset of constantly thinking about those things, then you get answers sometimes. And when you get those answers, when you get that bright idea, make sure you write it down. Sometimes things go through my brain and a few seconds later they're out and I don't remember them. Have some type of a journal where you keep ideas down, write things down that can help benefit your business, go back and review those, implement the ones that make sense. You also need to learn to get better in terms of asking and sharing. So, you know, ask other people what they do, ask people for their opinions, ask for their help, share what you do, you know, why you do it more importantly. And this can be in person, this can be in networking events, this can be in online forums. You just need to learn how to, you know, get out there and, you know, participate, open your mouth, and, you know, bring some value to a conversation. But more importantly, You build interest in what you're doing by showing interest in other people. So the ability to ask people what they do, how they like it, how they got into it, all those things are a non-threatening way to go out, open up conversation that may end up, like I said, returning value back to your side for you and your organization. And then when it kind of boils down to going into the business day, when we look at time management and we look at our toolbox and all these other things that can help us get better, that 60% of the day that we're doing direct business activity, income producing activities, we've got to have a strategic plan. So when we go into our day, what exactly are we doing? We're not just going to sit down at the beginning of the day with our coffee cup, our computer, get distracted on social media. If we're going into battle, we have to have a strategic plan to win the battle. If you have no plan, just like we tell our clients, having no plan is actually a plan. It's a plan to fail. And then you got to make sure that you understand, just because you're not doing well, maybe you're throwing some goose eggs up on the scoreboard, the numbers don't lie. You have to reflect on that scoreboard, and then not only to know, where you're going in terms of a trajectory, but how you're performing compared to your past. Remember, we always talk about this. Your business has to be growing. If it's not growing, it's dying. So if you're putting up zeros on the scoreboard right now, then don't just neglect that or ignore that. Understand, hey, this is the scoreboard. This is showing me my results. I have to put numbers up there. How am I going to get to those numbers? Well, a lot of the other stuff that we're talking about today can help, generate those scores in terms of revenue recognition, income recognition, growth recognition, et cetera. And one of the main things that you guys can do to really help yourself and your business and your organizational build out is you have to focus on your customer experience. If you were to draw graph two lines, one is a customer experience and one is your income, I guarantee you the better the customer experience gets, that income and revenue is going to trail right underneath that. So when you're looking at the customer experience, remember, people are going to buy from people they like, they feel comfortable around, they feel like they've done enough of a job to understand their problems so that the solution they can offer makes sense to them, that they build trust, rapport, credibility. You want to create a customer experience where they come out of that feeling good about the experience, not being sold a product, buying a product, excited about the future. The better that you get at this, the more income that you make. And then what happens is all of a sudden, user generated content, referrals, testimonials comes out of this. So this is a main area. Remember, Amazon's business model in the beginning and going forward, it focuses on the customer, knowing all about the customer, giving them an experience they want. That's what you have to do. And then you also, to get better, have to invest in yourself. And this is not necessarily talking monetary or financial. This is talking about, what are you feeding yourself every day? What type of information, what type of feelings? Are you learning on a daily basis? Are you expanding your skill sets? You have to invest in yourself. If you're at the same spot that you are right now, that you were a year ago, that's a problem. So you have to invest to make sure that you're growing as a person, as a salesperson, as a marketer, as a manager, so that as your business grows and your roles grow, you're ready for those. And you always have to think ahead. So what does next week look like? What does next month look like? What does next year look like? Remember, if we don't have a plan and that future looks real murky or unclear, that vision, it has to propel us to action. So what do we want? Why do we want it? How are we going to get there? But we're always thinking ahead. Remember, if we're looking ahead and there's no future that we can really see and feel, how do we create a plan of action to get there? So always think ahead for yourself, your clients, your partners. Paint that picture, show people how to get there. And then also, to get better, you got to focus on social media. So if you have no social media presence, don't think that you're going to put up like a LinkedIn profile and people are going to start knocking down your door to become a partner or a client. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes energy, resources. You got to learn how to do this stuff. You're either going to have to do it one of two ways. You're going to have to do it, on your own, or you're going to have some help from somebody else. So if you just look at social media and say, there's no way that I could ever, create leads on social media, follow what you guys are doing, you're going to have to invest money into it to have somebody help you, because social media, the ability to get out there and get in front of people, and we're not going to spend too much time today talking about the advantages of social media. We've done that before, but social media has to be, a spoke in the tire for your overall business activity and marketing plan. And then to get better, you got to network. Remember, marketing, pitching, selling, recruiting is different from networking. Networking is very easy. We talked about this before, showing interest in other people, asking what they do, how they like it, how long they've been doing it. They run into any problems right now. Showing interest in other people builds interest in what you do. Insert yourself into the conversation at the right point when you find that you can possibly help somebody, they can help you. Networking is just conversation, guys. And if you learn to talk about yourself and learn to ask questions about other people in a way that's not, one-sided, me, then this business becomes very, very easy, because through that networking process, you're just sorting people. Hey, this person can help me. I can help them. There's no possible relationship at all. And then you got to research your competitors. And this goes both ways. If somebody's doing a terrible job, look at what they're doing and avoid that at all costs. On the other side, if somebody's kicking butt online, digital marketing, look at what they're doing, what's working, why is it working, and mimic that. Whether it's digital marketing, whether it's financial services, it doesn't matter. Look at both sides of the fence. Who's doing it well, who's doing it terrible, and learn from both sides. And then also build word of mouth for your business. One of the best marketing is word of mouth, and that comes from the customer experience. If you're building a customer experience where people get value, they feel good about it, they like you, they will refer over. And sometimes, even when you can't help the person you're speaking to directly because of one or more variable reasons, there's still the opportunity. If you've done a good job with that customer experience, leading up with the prospect, there's an opportunity in that conversation to ask, this doesn't really fit in terms of your situation, but based on what you learned today, who do you know and care about that you think that needs to know this information? So understand the value of a conversation. The way that you extract value is by getting in, asking questions, disqualifying, and pivoting the conversation at the right point. And then identify new opportunities. This does not mean abandon ship and go try something brand new. This just means within your vertical of what you're trying to do, identify new opportunities for, money for yourself, for marketing, whatever it might be. Always, 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 we talk about this as an entrepreneur earlier, you have to be constantly thinking about your business. Build in the downtime. This includes identifying new opportunities for yourself, your clients, and your partners. And then build a list. One of the biggest things that I see happening is somebody will have a conversation with somebody. Maybe they're on a spreadsheet, maybe they're in an email, maybe they're in some type of a CRM. It doesn't matter. And then all of a sudden, the conversation's over, out of sight, out of mind, forgotten. You got to continually build your list, identify people. Is this person coming from social media? Are they an entrepreneur? Are they an agent? Are they a homeowner? Whatever it is. Tag it, put notes, build your list, because as you build your list, there's going to be certain times that people will, see what you're sending out, need what you're offering, and they'll answer back. But if you don't stay in front of people, then the opportunity to get that person at the right time doesn't really exist. And you've got to diversify your offer lineup. So there's many different ways to talk about what you do. Let me give you an example. We talk about, for example, the program and the algorithm. Well, let's look at that. Is it, on the front end, is it a debt elimination conversation? Or on the front end, is it a mortgage arbitrage opportunity conversation? Remember, both have to do with, what we teach, what we educate, the technology that we use. It's different ways of talking about what you do. And you can split test, you can beta test what's working, what's not working. Hey, this is working on this platform, this is working in person. So you can diversify your offer lineup in terms of the way that you communicate on the front side to reach the right people with the right message. You got to keep your eyes on the passive income. I'm not here, and you guys are not here to become salespeople. You're not really here for, to become a permanent recruiter. You're here, hopefully, to build passive income streams. So you need to understand in the business model, in the vertical, where do my passive income streams come from? And then start to identify, how do I build up to them? Whether it's managing sales teams, whether it's getting the residuals off the book, whatever it is, how do I, identify the passive income streams? What are they? And then what am I going to do? My plan of action has to include making progress towards those passive income streams. You're going to get to the freedoms that you're looking for through passive income. You got to get organized. So a lot of the things that we find as far as problems in our business just come back from a core point of not being organized. So take that clutter out of your life. And this goes back to some of the things that we're saying, the toolbox, the strategic plan, time management, all these things helps you get organized. You take that clutter and you turn it into something that you can understand. You can actually teach other people as they come in, because if you're unorganized, you don't know your numbers, you're not doing any of the things that we're teaching you, as you build your organization, it's going to be a real shallow and flimsy organization where people aren't getting the information, the tools, the knowledge, the support they're looking for. And if they don't get that, they'll drift and they'll quit. And you got to understand the risk and the rewards of what you're doing. This means, hey, if I'm buying something to help me with my business, what's the risk or reward of this? Am I signing a long-term contract? What's the risk reward of doing that? What's the risk reward of just sitting there in the morning and not doing anything, refusing to send out marketing, refusing to do what you need to do? Whether we're spending money or whether we're just sitting there staring at the screen, we have to understand what are the risks and the rewards that I'm doing of what I'm about to do, and does it make sense for what I'm trying to accomplish? And be creative. So one of the things that we all have to understand is online, you have to separate yourself. You have to be creative. You got to make something that where somebody's going to remember you. Even going back to your childhood, if you remember on the TV, the commercials that you remember, they were usually a little bit odd. They were definitely creative, but they stuck in your mind. You have to understand, as a marketer, as a manager, as a salesperson, you have to be creative in what you do. You have to stand out from the crowd, because if you're creative, then you're memorable. And if you're memorable when somebody needs something, your name, your business, your media profile, whatever it is, comes to their head. And then stay focused, guys. If you want something, you got to stay focused on that. And you got to have a singular kind of focus in terms of, I need to get this accomplished. I'm on a one-way lane to get this accomplished. Nobody's going to have me veer outside my lane. Focus also is, has to do with consistency and the long-term approach, because you can't be focused for 60 days, lose focus for 60 days, be focused for 60 days. That start and stop mentality and motion will kill your business. And then, especially in the beginning, you guys, you have to prepare to make sacrifices. What does that mean? Well, that means sometimes, you got to work on a Sunday, got to work on a Saturday night. You got to make yourself available, because the sacrifices that you make in the beginning allow for the freedoms that you're creating down the road. So understand, there's no freedoms down the road without sacrifices in the front end. So understand that, once again, this is not a 9 to 5. You got to be prepared to work some off hours. But that also means that during the day, sometimes when there's not much going on, you have the ability to take that time off. So put the time into your business, make the sacrifices, but understand that entrepreneurship affords you some flexibility as well. Don't just feel like you got to be in some spot for 12 hours. You have a schedule, you have a calendar, you have things that you need to do, make things happen. But like I said, understand, in the beginning of entrepreneurship, building a business, sacrifices have to be made, or else it's the business that you end up sacrificing. And then finally, we just kind of mentioned this, but you got to be consistent. If I'm trying to pull a rock up a hill, I can't take breaks. I can't let it go. I've got to continue to pull that rock up the hill until I get to the top of the hill. And then I can relax. I can let it go. It's stationary. I can take a look at the beautiful view, the work I've done. But like I said, there's going to be no really endpoint that you desire creating without consistency. So I wanted to get right down into some things that you guys can just take away from this meeting today. And like I said, the theme of this meeting today is just get better. So what do you need to do? We're all at different places on our business, whether we've been here 1 day, 1 year, or longer. You're all in different places. What do you need to do to take your business to the next level? What do you need to do, marketing, management, sales-wise, whatever it is, to take you to the next level for your business? Because if you do not get better, then you have no progress. Without progress, you have no business growth. Without no business growth, you have nothing but a lot of wasted time, energy, and resources, where eventually you're going to get frustrated and give this up.